Good afternoon, team. Welcome to the third episode of the Mind, Body and Goals podcast. I've really had some good feedback on the last two, and especially this one, hopefully we'll keep that going. Today's guest is none other than an old pal, Nick Davis. How are we doing, mate?
I'm not so bad, mate. How are you? It's
Oh,
good to see you.
not too bad. The sun's shining, mate. It's looking well.
Plug in actually, Marcus, just before we start.
Yeah.
I might be your old pal, but just so the audience knows, I'm actually your wife's older pal. I actually went to primary school with Emma. We go way back. In fact, in that photo of us both dressed as snowmen, I believe in is it the youngest one, the youngest age group?
Reception.
Anyway, Christmas play. So yeah, I need to stick her up.
I think every time I'd see you on a run going past Ultraflex, you would always say, I went to school with your wife, went to school with your girlfriend. I was like, Nick,
oh, fuck off, Nick.
Right, mate. So please, for the audience at home who don't know who Nick Davis is, who is Nick Davis?
Oh, I love that question. I do love that question. I always try and answer this one cautiously as well. So
please do, mate. Please do.
Who is Nick Davis? Nick Davis, he's a recovering addict. He's a loving partner. He's a friend, a son, a fitness and Domino's pizza enthusiast.
Yes.
Probably. And some would say a bit of a Marmite character. You either love me or hate me, but you know, I can't control them opinions, so I try not to anymore. But
some would say honest.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be honest, I've never really had a run-in with addiction, touch wood.
Yeah.
Other than a little bit of an addictive personality, and sometimes that's not a bad thing if it's in the right field. So please go into like where it started.
I mean, I spoke to one of our mutual friends the other day, Dean, and we was just on the phone touching about it because obviously he said I told him I was coming on your podcast, and a lot of my using drugs and alcohol was with Dean, and yeah, we were sort of laughing at some of the things we'd done and the stuff we used to do whilst like being on drugs and stuff, and we was laughing not because we took like pleasure or pride in the way we behave or the way we behaved, but just the insanity of the stuff we used to do. It was just ridiculous. And I'll be honest, it started for me because I loved getting messed up. I enjoyed that, man. I'm not here to, I don't really want to try and get into the realms of drugs are bad, never take them. I'm not anti-alcohol. I'm not really anti-drugs. I'm anti-me taking them.
What's crazy, mate, is the one thing why people take drugs and alcohol is because it works and it's good.
Exactly. I've got obviously within my role, I'm in like services. We kind of do training and stuff like that, and like what makes people kind of tick. And all human beings are trying to do is make themselves feel better. And one of the quickest ways to feel better is to have a few pints, and for me, a few lines of Charlie. I felt on top of the world doing that. It became an identity to me. You know, I was that kid who, you know, or he takes loads of drugs and goes out sessioning. And do you know what? At one point, I actually used to tell people that I am the best drinker in Preston for my height and size, which is it's actually ridiculous, isn't it?
Did you almost kind of own that identity as well? Were you quite?
Yeah. I lived up to it, man. I lived up to it because I had nothing. I didn't really have anything else. Like I never worked. I got my first ever proper job when I got clean. Before that, I'd do odd days on site here and there. I had an apprenticeship when I left school, doing groundwork, and that wasn't for me. I hated it. I did dip in and out of college. Couldn't quite find my feet. I was just looking to be accepted, to be honest. Whether that's something what happened in my personal life, like I grew up. My mum doesn't mind me saying this. My mum's an alcoholic. She doesn't drink anymore. She's abstinent. My passed away when I was 9. He died sober. He'd not drunk for a certain amount of years. And I've recently just got in touch with my dad's side of the family last year. They didn't even know I existed. So it's a bit of a messed up one.
Oh crap.
Yeah, quite a big, his sister is 26 years without a drink. A lot of them are in recovery. So you could say genetically, I was doomed from the start in terms of having a problem with drink and drugs.
So do you know, if you don't mind,
to fit in, I was always looking to fit in and impress people. you know, maybe that does go back to my childhood where it was just me and my mum, and she kind of chose alcohol a lot over me. That sounds messed up to the person perhaps listening, but I understand now. My mum didn't have a choice. She has a problem with alcohol, and you know, so I always kind of felt like something weren't right. I just grew up feeling not right. I touched on before, I attended a primary school with where your wife attended, and I lived on a council estate in Preston, and this primary school was in Fulwood. It's a nice area, and I kind of noticed that kids had mum and dads picking them up. My dad would never attend a parents' evening. I never really seen him, and like things would. I just felt like I didn't quite fit in there. Like I could easily be like playing Pokemon cards like at this primary school at lunchtime, and then go back to the council estate and be lobbing stones through windows, or you're just getting up to mischief kind of thing. What kids on council estates kind of do. So you know, I had like an identity problem. Do I want to fit in here? Do I want to fit in there? So I think that's perhaps where it possibly started. And I found something where drugs filled that for me. Drugs and alcohol filled that for me, definitely.
Yeah. So do you know, like you're saying, when you, because I didn't realize that your dad passed away when you was when you was a young child. Sorry to hear about that, bud. But were your parents together when that happened?
No, they weren't. No, like God bless my dad. My dad did the best with what he could do. You know, my dad come from a very Catholic family in Scotland, where if you conceive the child, this is what I believe, and I've got to be careful here because I've got sisters who may listen to this, and they probably had more of a relationship with my dad than him. But I believe that if you conceived a child possibly out of wedlock, there was that strict Catholic. His parents were, it was a bit frowned upon. It was frowned upon. So I wasn't told, and tragically, I think something massively affected me, and I still struggle with it today. I never went to my dad's funeral. I remember having a conversation with my mum, and my mum saying, like, listen, Nick, if you go to the funeral, you won't be able to sit with your sisters because there's your dad's family don't know who you are. And that day wasn't about Nick, it was about young Nick, it was about remembering my dad and stuff. So that was it was a really confusing time where you're thinking, why am I not kind of good enough? Do you know what I mean? Why do I? Yeah, so it was strange, man.
And do you know so that happened when you was 9, and then obviously growing up with your mum, who was also battling the alcohol addiction.
Yeah.
As a 9-year-old or as a 10-year-old, did you kind of see traits where you were like, this doesn't seem like how a child should be, how a child should live a child?
Yeah, I did. And
as children, obviously we don't know adult traits. We don't know we wouldn't know what an alcoholic was, but we'd know certain things weren't right. Like certain things wouldn't add up. I've got stuff in my childhood where I know certain things definitely shouldn't have happened or shouldn't be going on. But you're kind of naive to the fact. But did you know like this happening?
Yeah, definitely. When I was fairly young, my mum was in a relationship with someone, and it was a very toxic relationship. Alcohol was involved. There was no like physical abuse, but like it just used to be a lot of verbal abuse and shouting and drunk arguments and stuff like that. And I remember I grew up with you know him very well yourself. I grew up with Gary Longshaw, and his mum was very like stable, if you will. You know, like he used to have tea at a set time. He'd have chores. He used to play on the front and stuff like that. And I remember it's a bit sad to say this sort of stuff. Actually, some of this stuff, it's
you crave it, don't you? You crave that bedtime. You crave that bedtime.
Yeah. And I remember like my grandma and granddad were a massive, probably role in me not going perhaps down an even worse route. They did provide some stability for me. That's my mum's mum and dad. But I remember I used to do this thing when I was a kid, right, where I'd sleep at my grandma and granddad's like Wednesday and Sunday or something like that, and then I'd stop at Gary's a couple of nights a week. And I used to just think, oh, that's only like 3 days here with my mum and this bloke. And like I'd feel like, oh, I can handle 3 days of this. And I was only young. It's like, that's in hindsight, like that is not how a kid should really be thinking.
as
So yeah,
as that's kind of coming across, like you definitely lose some of your childhood. You have to grow up, and
yeah,
some of your childhood gets lost in translation. Like I remember, well, when I was a child, I would always have a bedtime at my mum's. I'd always have a tea time, and I'd always have to be in for a certain time. And when I'd go to my dad's, there was no, and apologies, Dad, if you're watching, but there was no real structure or anything. You went to bed when you want, you kind of got your tea when you wanted. And now when you're looking back at it, you're like, I was craving just to be treated as a child and as an adult. And that was like as a 10-year-old, you know what I mean? And I'd, just like even to the point of as a 10-year-old having to set your own alarm, and you might have forgot to set your own. You was waking up late going to school late. But yeah, so there are certain, especially in my childhood, there are certain times where, and I won't touch on the area, but where you have to grow up because of the environment around you. Like you would have, I don't know if this was the case, but you might have been seen as trying to protect your mum. You was the man of the house, that kind of thing. So
I remember. I can remember an argument what kicked off, and I was only young, and I just remember telling this bloke that I just screamed "fuck off," like I just like, and I was intimidated by him. Like it was probably the like by this time I believe my dad had died. Yeah, he would have died, so he kind of become a father figure. And I just felt like I just felt something like I can't cope in this situation. I just screamed like "fuck off," and I remember him throwing me and my mum out, and we had to go back to this. So we had a flat, but we used to stay at his house quite a lot. And yeah, I remember us like walking home in the middle of the night, thinking this is strange. You know what I mean? These things shouldn't really be happening. Where you know, it wasn't like, by no means I don't want this to come across like, oh fucking hell, Nick had a really tough upbringing. A lot of my childhood, which was absolutely brilliant and amazing, and a lot of people have had it a lot worse than me. But yeah, like home life for quite for a period of time and quite growing up was dysfunctional. It was definitely dysfunctional.
do you know what's like inspiring about what you've just said there? Even though like obviously your mum did her best, and you're saying like there's still people that have had it a lot worse. You're still trying to see like there's so many positives to your childhood. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's not, you've not completely think, well, this is where it stemmed from.
yeah.
That's inspirational, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's I think that kind of, I think another thing what kind of played, what influenced my addiction, if you will, was I was around alcohol being abused. So like from a young age, I never seen like where, I don't know if your mum or dad was together or your mum, whatever, and you seen them just having a couple of glasses of wine every evening. I seen my mum every evening with bottles of wine, cans of lager, with the sole purpose to get drunk. Do you know what I mean? Like that was what she was doing it for. It weren't like, oh, let's have a glass of wine because I want to chill out after work or it complements the meal. It was this drunk. And yeah, that I remember she used to drink cheap like cider as well. Do you know, cheap cider, like the cheap, really white lightning and stuff like that. And then when I got older and I thought, we used to laugh at that stuff when I got older, when I was like 19, 20, like, why are you back on the white lightning? What are you, 15 again? I used to think my mum used to drink that, like, just drink it. It's like, man.
When you see stuff like that, because like there's been like a rise in child mental health and emotion, more importantly. But I genuinely believe that is children being exposed to adult words of emotion. So like I generally don't believe a child is as stressed as they can say they're stressed. They just associate the word of stress. Their parents see that and then they translate it into their own life.
Well, I've got theory on
that. They might see their mum saying, "Oh, I'm depressed," and that's not nice. But then they will translate that into their life and say, "Oh, because I haven't a friend, I'm depressed." So I think you seeing your mum, like say, drink to get drunk.
Yeah.
Do you reckon that's kind of had an effect of like when you have struggled with your life as you've gone older? You think, well,
drink, drink, absolutely. And I think what we've got to remember is whether you like it or not. Once you have kids, you are a role model, and kids are the greatest imitators in the world. They are the greatest imitators in the world. It's like when you see when you hear someone like maybe a dad will turn around to the little boy in the supermarket or whatever and go, hey, don't speak to your mum like that. Where do you think he learned how to speak to your mum like that from?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's kids and growing up, we are human beings are sponges, and the environment you're in, you absorb everything from. Do you know what I mean? The negative and the positive, and we've got to be aware of that, especially for the next generation. Do you know what I mean? Who we bring into the world. Like, I know you've got a child on the way. So
anytime now, mate. Anytime.
Yeah, I know. I just hope it doesn't happen in the next hour or so. Do you know?
Me too, mate. Me too. Get it out to the people. But yeah, like you were saying, even to the little bits, like one thing, like I have a little bit of a potty mouth, and
yeah,
you best believe I am going to try my utmost of not even saying an ounce, because I don't want my children to know any swear words.
Yeah.
But they, like you said, they latch on to absolutely everything because they're learning, they're adapting and seeing how you adapt.
Yeah.
So we've touched on your childhood.
Yeah.
And I'd just like to touch on, do you remember like a turning point? So say when you was in your worst stage of addiction, did you like, because like I remember like I know like addiction and like let's say obesity aren't the same, but they've got a lot of similar traits. I can remember, and I have a lot of clients that I ask to pinpoint. Like I can remember where my way of thinking changed, or just started to change, just started to take a turning point. I can remember the day I was on the PlayStation 3. I just started my second bag of Doritos Chili Heat Wave, and I was probably hitting about 19 stone at like 14, 15. And I was like, if I can't do like this, I can't tell you why, but I was like, this sudden thought, this wave of disgust, and I was like, I've got to do something. So cut a long story short, I forced and I prayed and I begged my dad to get me a gym membership, and that was the start. And I made him pay for the year, because I was like, if I pay for the year, then at least if I can't get anywhere else, I can go to the gym. But yeah, anyway, can you remember your turning point?
Well, it's funny actually, because I mentioned before, Dean, we kind of we were just talking, like he was like giving me some pointers what I could possibly say and stuff, and like it's good talking about these things in hindsight and being like, I'm currently 3.5 years abstinent. I've been in recovery now for 4 years, and there's no specific moment, I believe, where it took a real dark turn. Because I can remember distinctively the first time I ever used a substance. It was alcohol. It were 4-pint cans of Foster's. And up until this point, I was big into my sport, loved playing football. Don't get me wrong, I was never going to be a professional sportsman, but I was never going to be last to be picked.
I remember you was like every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You was always at Vida. We'd always
100%, yeah, 100%, and loved it all. And I just remember having these 4-pint cans of Foster's. We were all drunk. It was on a park in Ingle, and kind of in the morning, I rung round my mates, and a few were hanging out of their arse and that, and it were like, I'm not doing that again for a bit. My initial reaction was, when can we do that again?
Yeah.
I found something had been triggered. I just, when I had these, like, this is a bit of a funny one. In high school, I'd be dead loud and cocky and confident, but inside I was like really shy, and like when it comes to asking girls out and kissing girls, I hadn't kissed a girl up until year 10.
Yeah.
Used to get tortured for it, right?
Me and you both, mate. Both.
And I wasn't like, no disrespect to you, Mark, because I wasn't like, as you were quite a big lad growing up. I was quite I had like what we would call puppy fat. But kids at high school, you get nailed for that. If you stand out, if they got anything you can stand out on, they nail you for it. And so I never had that.
Absolutely anything.
Horrible, isn't it? So I really lacked confidence with like girls and stuff. But when I had these 4-pint cans of Foster's, I just felt like I could do anything.
Yeah.
And straight away,
You've created that relationship already, haven't you?
Straight away, it's already happened. And straight away, I remember training with a football team called Ingle Rangers. A lot of my mates played for them. Gary Longshaw, John Moon, Dylan Kay, them people we know quite well. I hope they're well if they end up listening to this. Yeah, they all still loved the football and they weren't drinking. And I thought, I'm not going to go and sign for them because that means I've got to get up at such a time on Sunday, and that'll affect my drinking on the Saturday night, because it becomes every Saturday we'd get a few beers in, and me and a group of lads from school. And
how old were you then, mate? What
15,
age?
15 years old, yeah, 15 years old. So, and that it becomes something I just really enjoyed, really did enjoy it. And I used to get back in some states, like I remember home and just spinning out. I fell on a park and I grazed all my face, straight away that that kind of line of like when to stop was never there.
Yeah.
I remember very on me and a friend, like people would go halves on a crate of Stella. Back then it was 80 bottles of Stella and it worked out £4.50 each. I was like, I don't want 9 bottles. I want a crate to myself.
Yeah.
I want a crate to myself.
Can I just shut this blind, mate? The sun's in my eye.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I was just like, I think I'm looking at his face. I think I'm just like squinting. Right, sorry. So you wanted a crate to yourself, mate?
Yeah, straight away. And I kind of I jumped from one set of friends to another set of friends who were kind of doing the same thing as me. And because that's what you do. And then there was, the consequences. The consequences happened like quickly for me. They were big. They weren't very good. And then when I was like 16 years old, that's when I first tried cocaine, and I tried it, and I loved it. I loved it. What's that?
When you were 16?
Yeah, 16 years old. And I loved it, and it was a very similar pattern with that drug as it was with alcohol. Again,
it's got the levels of progression, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was just like people would chip in for a bag between 4 of them. I was like, I want my own bag. I used to get at 17 years old, I'd be like every weekend I'd be in like hundreds of pounds worth of debt.
Yeah.
It was just like looking back, it's like madness, really. And like I finally got clean in 2017 August. In 2017, I entered recovery and had quite a few periods of abstinence, which means not using drugs or alcohol. And I look back and like I had an 8-year career, if you will, of using drugs, and like I hit it hard, man, hard. And one of the things, and like God bless me, my mum had to pay drug debt after drug debt after drug debt. My granddad had to pay drug debt after drug debt. And kind of touching back on what your question you asked was there a particular moment? There was a lot of particular moments where it was coming clear and obvious now through hindsight and retrospect that this relationship is not very healthy. But you know what the truth is as well? It was still fun. I enjoyed it, and the consequences were never bad enough.
So like, that's what I say, like, because us as human beings, we're really not silly, and we're quite smart, as well as the dumbest person is quite smart, and we are aware of what's good and what's bad for us. Like 9 times out of 10, people roughly know what they should be eating if they want to stay in shape. They roughly know they should be training if they want to stay healthy. Now, did you have a point where it's like because you would have known, this is no good, but that would just gone straight to the back of your head, back onto the next bag, back onto the next drink? Did you have a point where it's like, nah, I've got to really stop this. This really is bad?
It was around about 2014. There was 2014 time. I remember just getting into loads of debt, and like the mental health kind of consequences were coming then, where like I wouldn't have, like people say, oh, you're just on a come down. Like when you're going out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, not sleeping, doing copious amounts of not just cocaine, other drugs as well, MDMA and all that kind of jazz. You aren't having a come down, you're having a crash.
Yeah.
You're not coming down, you're crashing. Your body's got no nutrients in it because you've not ate. It's chemically, your brain's chemically imbalanced because of all the shit you've shoved up your nose and whatnot, and down your throat. Like you're sleep deprived, you are crashing. And I just remember feeling shit. And I also remember I used to do this thing, and this might have started in 2013. I used to panic when I was getting low on drugs. Like I used to always be like, how much we got left? How much we've got left? If I was using with someone, I'm like, how much is left? And I'd do this thing where I'd always count beers. Like, right, so I've got that many beers. That hopefully will last till then. And then we'll make some money in the meantime, and then we can get to the shop, and that's how it were. And it was almost like
going from literally from day to day, hour to hour,
hour to hour, just grafting and grafting for the next high or the next buzz, and to essentially just living to get off. Like I go to a 12-step fellowship, and we have a saying: we live to use and use to live, and that was my life. Like. That was just my life of a week. Like I'd start on a Thursday and I would just use right the way through, and then anything in between would just be spent in my room, isolating, on a come down, feeling shit, and then I'd just repeat the cycle all over again. 2015, I remember my granddad going into hospital, and the only way I can describe it, Marcus, was I just went flat out, mate. It was after when Floyd Mayweather fought Manny Pacquiao in 2015, big super boxing fight, and it's funny. It might have been June. I think that fight was in May, and then in June, I just went, mate. I seen him in hospital. I knew he was really poorly. And I was flat out. I just hit self-destruct. If you
just go into oblivion, no real explanation.
The consequences come thick and fast. Like I've got the stuff I don't obviously we spoke about. I touch on. I don't want to upset other people because my journey's affected other people. And if anyone's watching, I can only say sorry. And not just say sorry, but show you I'm sorry by not going back to that person. And how I do that is not use drugs anymore or alcohol. But I've got nothing to hide in terms of I was stealing from my family. Like my granddad had like cancer, he was on his deathbed, and he died with no money, Marcus. He died with no money in his account. I'd cleared it. I'd had to pay drug debts off. I got my tits and stuff. That's what I do. I live at that. That's the sort of person I've become.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's what addiction did to me. I went to rehab in 2015.
What took you there, can I ask real quick, just before you move on? What took you to rehab? So what made you have the steps of saying, is this the first time you went?
I've been to rehab once, mate, and this is a story which might potentially make people laugh, right? You got to smile through the bullshit, right? You got to smile through the bullshit. So my granddad was in hospital and I'd stolen money, and he'd been made aware that I'd stolen money. Now my granddad relationship was very strained due to he knew that what I was doing was very. He used to say to me, "You're going to end up like your mum. You're going to end up like your mum." And I'd be like, "Granddad, I'm just having a good time. Leave me alone." And some of the arguments we'd have were really like intense. Bearing in mind, this man had bailed me out of the shit a lot of times.
Give you that structure as a child, like what you.
He'd allow me to live at his house for rent free. I didn't work. I didn't pay him board. He paid me to look after him. He used to pay me £80 a week to look after him, which he didn't know at the time was enabling me to do what I was doing. And I had a little part-time job behind a bar, believe it or not. Fucking hell. And I just used to make just about enough money to do what, and you have your ways and means, don't you, to do what you're doing. But yeah, he was in hospital, and I knew then, like, potentially he might have called the police on me, which he had every right to do, by the way. And I remember, and then I was walking down, it's either Ribbleton Lane and Newhall Lane, and there's a church up there on a side street. And I'd just seen that it was open. I was just wandering around the street, shit-faced, essentially. That's because I had nowhere else to go. My mum, I think, had thrown me out for a few days because he was in hospital. My mum was lived with us at his house. So I was wandering around the street, and I walked into a church, and I actually thought it was an AA meeting, Alcoholics Anonymous. So I've gone in, and I've done this big speech in front of this church, right? And they're just there saying mass or something. give it like I'm fucked.
Did you have like a big confession or something?
Crying my eyes out.
Oh.
Yeah. Some big fucking some big speech and then after it, and then I just remember him speaking to me and them saying, you know, like churches, they do rehabs and stuff like that. And they made me some food, bless them. And they made me this food and it kind of tore up a touch, just enough so I could remember. Anyway, I remember just going back to that church thinking, if I can get in a rehab, it was Sean trying and I'll be able to still live there. Do you know what I mean?
That was just the main goal at that time, is just to
it was.
your head. No real intentions going.
It was, and I'd been in I kind of lost a lot of friends and stuff like that along the way. They weren't having it with me at that period, and I thought it just stopped the consequences. It would just stop the consequences. I was never ever really serious about stopping, Joe, like knowing that I'm an addict. I want to stop this one day at a time forever. I wasn't in that mind frame, but during these times as well, I was starting to end up in hospital quite a bit. You know, I was taking overdoses of medication in my granddad's medication cabinet. I tried to get my medical records for this podcast to kind of show it with you a bit more in depth. They haven't come through in time, unfortunately, but I'll have to send them you over when they come.
Yeah, please do, man. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, and I remember one overdose. It was potentially really fatal. And this ambulance had raced through to Royal Preston, and I had to have my stomach pumped and stuff like that. And then when I'd kind of come round, my mum was like, do you have any idea what you did last night? And I didn't.
Ask a quick question. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, of course.
Was the overdose this time, I say, the one that could be the fatal, and I know it sounds, and pardon me for being naive, but was it intentional, the overdose?
No. No, it weren't. No, it weren't. I can hand on heart say it was a ploy to kind of get people to leave me alone. Like, look, he's really like my granddad essentially, and get off his back, because he was always like, why have you not got a job? Why have you got no structure? Why are you doing this? And it was a ploy to kind of get him off my back. And because I was intoxicated, I took a lot of I took warfarin tablets, which are blood thinners, and it could have poisoned my blood and all sorts. I could have left myself with some serious damage. But I remember my mum saying, like, do you have any idea like what you did? So the stuff like that was going on, building up to the rehab, and there'd be times I'd end up in hospital. And the sad thing is I felt safe there, Marcus. I felt safe in hospital because they'd feed me, I'd have a bed. I'm 20 at this point. I think I'm on like 21, 22 years old, and like that's frightening to think, really. Absolutely. But yeah, like, so then this church, it got me in this rehab. And at this, I'm not ashamed to admit at this part, I'm like, for a long time, and I still to this day do it without realizing, I think I'm a lot harder than what I am. Like, I'm a softie, you know what I mean? And I got to this rehab, mate, and I just cried and I cried and I cried. And I, what am I doing here? Like, what? Get me out of here, get me out of here. And my granddad was really poorly. So that was kind of my justification to leave. I was like, I've got to get back and see him and stuff. And I stayed there for just under 3 weeks. I come out, got myself a haircut, started the running and, the gym, trying to externally fix what's internally broken, what I call.
Nice.
And in 2 weeks, I started, drinking and taking drugs again. And yeah, it just kicked off again. And my granddad passed away. I think it was October, November 2015. So he went in hospital end of May, possibly start of June, and he didn't get out, and he died in hospital. And once that had gone, it kind of gave me permission where the consequences of him kicking me out and rendering me homeless had gone. And I just things just, mate, they just progressed. It were horrific, man. For me personally, I know everyone has their own, who's suffered with addiction has their own theories, they have their own story, they have their own substances they've abused. But for me, it just became fucking horrific. It was horrible. And so back to the original question of, was there a turning point?
Hey, I love how you've just you've gone on that journey, mate. You've took me it's just like listening to an audiobook. It's been amazing. But
it's like, I don't think there was a particular, if that's the answer to the original question, I don't think there was. I think there was a lot of moments where it just got sinister and the hooks got deeper, if you will. And the denial got thicker, you know, the old, I'm not using heroin, I'm not smoking crack, you know, I'm not doing this every single day. Because I would have periods where like I'd sort myself out for a week or two, I'd hit the sunbeds, I'd go to the gym and I'd be like, right, no, tell my mates, I'm living better at the minute. And I drill that home and that positive like affirmation speaking.
Like, I think at that time, you would even say yourself now, you wouldn't even have believed yourself when you were saying that. And
No, I knew.
Mates wouldn't have believed it, would they?
No, did they fuck? And you know what? Like, kind of, I was sick of telling myself it. And that kind of, and every time I would have a little bit of abstinence and things would get a little bit better, and I was able to mask it for a long time because I used to be able to still go running, so it keep the weight off. I'd hit the sunbeds, I'd go to the gym. I weren't really into weightlifting back then, but you know, I could. My mum would give me money to get clothes and stuff like that. I'm a 20-year-old man. She'd give me money for clothes. You know what I mean? That's a bit. I don't know many 20-year-olds who get that luxury. So my mum ends up watching this. Thanks, mum. It's still. But you know, I could mask it. I could just about get away with it. Where to the naked eye, see me walking down the street, you won't think there's a man who's suffering internally from addiction. Do you know what I mean? But I think after 16, it got really sinister. That's when, you know, the weight piled on. Got a photo. Can you put them up on here?
Yeah, man. Just send it me across and I'll pop it on.
Yeah, I'll put it through. Just give me 1 second. Where are we, Marcus?
Just a quick one, mate. So, do you know when you've gone from telling people, "Oh, this is it now. I'm doing it. it." You've told these people, and you know fine well this was never the turning point. Have you ever succumbed to just give up, saying, "Well, no one believes I'm going to do it, so what's the fucking point?"
I mean, yeah, there was that aspect of it, but I think I used to because I didn't believe it myself. The justification where deep down I didn't want to do this anymore. I didn't want to do this anymore. I didn't want to feel this shit. I was sick, and towards the back end of my use in the last 12 to 18 months, I was the guy on a 5 o'clock Monday morning going to the shop to buy alcohol, cheap alcohol. I remember me and Dean was working on a building site in I think it's Oswald, and I remember I had shakes. I had shakes, and Dean won't mind me saying this. I hope he doesn't if you do, Dean. But I remember him saying, and Dean's had his issues, you know, he's explained with you. He's doing amazing at the minute, and I'm proud of him. I remember him saying, "You need to stop drinking and never do it again." And when he said that, and people around me, I always used to look and think, "Well, I'm not quite that bad." I was worse.
He was always worse. He was lying to you, trying to justify it.
Yeah. And I'd become worse, and it started to whip me. And every time I'd lie to myself. I'll just have one. 4 days had passed by.
Yeah.
I'd pinch out mum's purse. At this point, I had a partner who I took for a ride with me for the last 18 months of my using, and I was fucking awful to her, Marcus. There was no physical abuse or anything, but the emotional stuff of she'd hide my vodka and I'd be like, "Where's my vodka? Give it to me," and all that lot. Just the stuff what came with my addiction, unfortunately. And I'm eternally sorry to that young lady. I'm really sorry, and to her family. And like I touched on before, the only way I don't believe sorry's a word. Sorry's not a word. Sorry's an action. And the only way I can show I'm sorry is not go back to that. And I'm determined not to. That's not what I want to be. That's not the way.
Sorry's a word if you got caught. I mean, the actions is actually sorry, isn't it? Like you say.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just trying to find this picture.
Hey mate, yeah, take your time, buddy.
Yeah.
Because what I want to kind of go into now is how you then kind of formed a love with fitness and, in a sense, running as well. I'd really like to.
Well, it's a funny one.
Story behind that.
Yeah, I've sent that picture over. It's a funny one, this, because there was a lot of I'd obviously I'd run playing football and stuff like that, but I think a couple of times when I was 15, 16, this kind of touches on other issues I've suffered with, like body dysmorphia. I look back now and I don't want to diagnose myself with belief or anything like that. I never made myself sick, but like I was always wanting to weight. That stuff where you probably experience it yourself, where you get nailed for your weight as a kid. So
really, mate, absolutely.
Become like my training was always tailored to lose that last bit of weight. So I started to go running at 15 and 16, and then about 16 to when I left school, I'd stopped playing football at dinner and stuff like that, and I got the apprenticeship doing groundwork, and I didn't know nothing about nutrition back then. I'd weight training a bit, but didn't know anything about a diet. I'd binge drink on a weekend, so I did pile quite a bit of weight on from high school to college. And it's a shame, really, because in college I got picked to, it was called the academy then at Preston College, and that was the people who left high school. You went to go and play, like trials, if you will. You get selected for the academy, and you could go on to play for the first team at Preston College. And used to go to America every year.
Absolutely, and I remember playing. Them people, like there was like the professional team.
Oh, mate, yeah.
Like know, like you'd always have a friend that's like going to San Diego to play in a tournament with the team. I'm like, that is completely a million miles away from my reality, and you're going to do that.
Well, it was a shame because I remember playing.
Just a quick one. I'll be faffing for ages because I'm a proper dad with technology. For those of people for the picture, I'll post a little link on little Facebook, and I'll just do like a comparison from you to now. So is that at your height of
that is addiction? My addiction, yeah.
Okay, so guys, I'm going to post a picture of Nick at his height of addiction and now strapping young lad. Right, carry on.
But needs a haircut. But yeah, so because I played football, we went for like trials, if you will, and I developed a bit. One thing alcohol give me and drug give me, I think I picked up the coke yet, but I was drinking. It gave me a chip on my shoulder where I'd always crumble in like games. I'd be that scared to make a mistake. I'd make a mistake, but alcohol gave me this chip on my shoulder. I just didn't give a fuck anymore. I knew I weren't going to make it. And I was probably never going to play at any decent level, but I played really well in these trials and got picked to go and play in the academy when I joined Preston College in the September. And that 6-week holiday, it was just it were a bender basically, and I was hanging around with someone and they could eat whatever they wanted and not put weight on, and that's just not my genetic makeup. I've got to actually watch what I eat.
You just completely associate you. Well, I'm a similar size. I'm the same age. If he can do it, I can do it. I'm doing the same.
I walloped 2 stone on, and I remember coming back to training, and it was like the pre-season training, and mate, like Gaz Gary Longshaw, and he was a machine, absolute machine pre-season, and I just remember feeling like I distinctly remember thinking, what have I done? And you're just thinking, well, this is over, and then I'd kind of left.
By the way, Gary, hope you had a good time in San Diego, pal.
Yeah, I know, arsehole. Yeah, and then I left to do the groundwork construction thing, and then that worked for me. I thought I'm going to go back to college because the grass wasn't greener, making money like £90 to freeze your bollocks off. That's something I'm shocking at. Went back to college, and I remember giving football one last run. I played for a Sunday league team. I used to turn. I remember being captain for a couple of games. I remember turning up pissed, and I just never got hold of it. And then there was an incident what happened, and I moved away from Preston for a bit, and I come back, and then I got into like, Joe, that your first love relationship and stuff like that. And it was probably the first time, and then that didn't work out, and I just thought, do you know what? I don't want to be that kind of ex-boyfriend who just looks like, oh, no wonder you left him. Yeah. So I started going running. And still to this day, when I'm running, I feel safe. I just feel safe. I'm with my thoughts. I can process things a bit better, and it just become, and you know what? It become, Marcus. It become an addiction.
I mean, as much as like I don't know if this is the case, but it would seem to be the way it would go. Is that, do you reckon you actually defeat addiction, or do you just replace an addiction?
No, it's ongoing. I'm
We have addictive traits, don't we? Like
yeah, massively. And what I will say is the running. I think the running saved my life. I think it just saved.
that's not me saying. That's not me saying. Oh, you never beat addiction. Like that running is an amazing addiction to have.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you've had many of bad of addictions, but like
yeah.
just replacing that other addiction, because that could have gone the other way. That addiction could have gone to crack, heroin, and I know that sounds.
Yeah, no, that's the reality. Because I'll just touch on something briefly. The first lockdown, I walked through town and I seen someone just who I was using drugs with and drinking with before I went to rehab in 2015. And God bless him, he is hot on the hard stuff, like what we call, if you want to call it the hard stuff. Like to me, a drug's a drug, but
Yeah.
it was like a hard stuff, your heroin and crack. And I was with my partner, Rosie, and he just turned round. He went, Nick, I'm really proud of you, lad. Keep doing it for us. He said, look at state of me. He said, I didn't get out. You got out.
Just give me goosebumps, man.
Yeah, he went, you got out. And Rosie were like, who's that? Because Rosie's never seen me use. She didn't know me when I was using. And I went, I used to use with him. And she was like, what? I was like, I felt awful for the situation he was in, but I felt also like, fuck, that's where this could have gone. And that's where it probably was going that way. Well, it might not have got there. I would have topped myself, Marcus, if I'm honest.
Let's be honest, Nick. It was a fine line, wasn't it? It was a fucking.
Yeah, massive. Absolutely massively. And I think it's funny. It's human nature to protect ourselves, isn't it? And like kind of, like I said before, we want to make ourselves feel better. Where I'm using, like, it's funny. Like I was using cocaine, say 4 or 5 days out of 7, and going, yeah, but I'm not a crackhead. Well, cocaine is crack. It's just not washed. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? So there's that's in it, and then it's like, well, I'm not
saying about the protection, and what will be protection for you might be a different form of protection for another.
Yeah.
Like this sounds really
yeah.
But like what could be protection for someone else is killing themselves. Do you know what I mean? Like because they don't feel any other way out. That is,
they can't cope with the pain. They can't cope with the pain anymore, and that's what happens. And it's tragic. And kind of just going back to the running thing. So yeah, and that the addiction kind of like manifested, if you will, into the running.
We got off on a little tangent then. Sorry, man.
Yeah, we didn't we? It was great though. Loved it. And like I remember starting running. I was about just under 13 stone. I'm only 5'8", and it was 13 stone of fat. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm still now, like I'm not very well. I'm not, like, I wouldn't say I'm really skinny, right? I've got a bit of muscle mass, but
got some quads on you, aren't you, I believe?
What's that? Yeah. Oh yeah. Not quite yours, but yeah, we're getting there. And yeah, I went from 13 stone and I ran myself down to 9.5 stone. 9.5 stone. I remember getting a kidney infection and still going for a run with a kidney infection.
But so that's how much it would have meant to you, because of that addicted nature. Like, well, if I don't go for this run, what's the sense that I might not even carry and continue running? What happens if I go back down to the route I was just previously on before this?
Yeah, exactly. And it just become like an obsession. I remember getting up, right, and I used to go for a 10K, and then I'd go to the swimming baths because my mum got me a gym membership at Ford Leisure Centre. I'd do a mile swim, and then I'd go home. I didn't have a job at this point. Back then it was the no carbs thing, no bread, no nothing. Calorie deficit was James Smith around. Calorie deficit were here, calorie fucking deficit, mate. Even none of that were about. But like, don't have carbs, don't have sugar. And my granddad saying, you look as white as that wall, because I was just so malnourished, and I was going, and then in the evening go for another 8-mile run. So it was like a massive deficit all the time. And obviously I'm gonna go out and I'd be on the coke and stuff. So yeah, it just it still is.
2 seconds, mate. It's 2 seconds. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I've got a plumber in, and I don't know if you can hear that drilling going on, but I just got through what you've just been saying, buddy. So, so just go through just that last sentence you just said, mate? Sorry, just because I could hardly hear.
Yeah, so in the the running had become an addiction, and I'd get up and I'd do 6 miles, and then I'd go to Full Ledge Centre, swim a mile. I didn't have a job. And back then, it was, I think it wasn't keto, was it? What's it called? Atkins diet. No carbs, no bread. It was like, bro, egg whites for breakfast, just egg whites. My granny would be like, Nick, you fucking wasted 10 eggs, mate. And then it'd be like bland chicken, and I just got obsession. And then over weekend when I go out and do my thing, and I'd just take like, it'd be like vodka and lemonade, and which vodka's no calories in, and I'd be on coke, and that suppressed my appetite. And I just remember going like I went so skinny, like really skinny, like skinny fat. Well,
this
was about 2011, 2012.
Was it? Oh, okay.
So, you know, I think that kind of the running's I think the running and the fitness, well, the running and I'd say self-obsession, self-consciousness kind of saved me in many aspects, where it kept things at bay because I didn't want to look like shit. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to be that fat kid. I didn't want to be that person who got since state of him.
Like, even though you were still struggling with the addiction right back then, you still had quite a lot of accountability for your body. Like bearing in mind, like Atkins.
I don't call it accountability. I call it obsession.
Yeah. That's
obsession.
Like, you'll hear some people, I've probably talked about this to death with some other people on these podcasts, but like, oh, do you not think that's a bit obsessive? Well, there are worse obsessions to have than having a fitness.
Yeah. I completely agree with that one, to be fair. Completely agree. Yeah, but and then like, I never really stuck at lifting weights for a bit. I'd never get long because my energy would be through the floor. So I'm like, I'd end up doing. We'd go for a week or so. Me and Dean used to train quite a bit. I remember in 2015, because he went on holiday, and I couldn't fucking afford bastard without me. And we both got we were both lifting weights, and Dean's like a strong lad. When he's training, he's very strong, and he taught me, like, got me more into the weight training. If I'm honest with you, weight training was just something I did every now and then, but like. The way he went to the gym wasn't to go running or whatever. He went and lifted weights.
Like, I'm trying at the minute with Dean, to be fair. Like, he's like you'll know him. He's so harsh on himself, but
yeah,
he's in this routine of just comparing himself to what he was. Like you say, when he was, so I was doing this, I was doing X amount. It's like, you've got to think the circumstances have changed. Like, so you are not in the same position.
Yeah,
your life has completely changed, and you've just got to kind of just keep telling him, like, say, you are doing better than you was 2 months ago. You are doing better than you was a month ago. And it's like, because so many people get fixated on where they were. And I think that's so much with running, especially for me. It's like I used to do it. We're all guilty of it. Like, even though I tell people to do opposite, like, it's like, 5K, I would do a 23-minute 5K. That is nothing to you, Nick. I obviously understand, but
I'm not that great over short distance.
I've got a client who does a 17-minute 5K.
Lewis Bamber.
You know him. Shouts to Lewis.
I was speaking to him yesterday. He's frightening, isn't he? He's frightening over them short distances.
And I was doing. I did an 8K the other day, and I was looking at the time when I was on 5K, and I'm like, it's like a minute behind. I'm like, what the fuck? Why am I a minute behind? But it's easy to get stuck in that negative.
Yeah.
I was like, at the end of it, I was like, I'm enjoying the run. At least I'm enjoying the run.
Yeah.
And when I did that 5K and did the 23 minutes, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed that run. Do you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, but just I think what we've become so kind of conditioned with the influence of social media to this message of positive. Let's stay positive. Get up, get it done.
How do you stay positive? You tell me how to stay positive.
Well, how do I stay positive?
It's such a loosely. I don't mean like that, mate. I mean, like, it's such a loosely and broad term that has no substance behind it when it's been told. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
like there's
So
no substance behind that, even though it's so significant to try and stay positive. There is no substance behind that phrase, but it's like, okay, well, that
yeah,
needs to come with a diary or a journal
yeah,
to do so.
yeah. So like we could, potentially pause this in, and then I could go on Instagram now and pull about 4 different videos up of some with 1 million followers living their best life. Someone's trying to say positive, saying get it done, and But like one of the things I've kind of learned over this has only just happened to me over the last 12 months, and something I've been honest and open about the first lockdown was I fell apart, Marcus. I fell apart, mate. I fell apart. It was a tough one. But what if positivity isn't the thing you need to feel at the minute? What
Yeah,
if feeling negative
it's
is the
okay.
exact emotion?
It's
Yeah.
okay to do so. Exactly, mate. Exactly.
What if negativity is the exact thing you need to feel to get stuff done? Every single
Survival mode. If you're
yeah,
too fixated on being positive, you're gonna fall apart.
yeah, exactly, and it's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's possible to be positive all the time. It's
Absolutely, mate.
every single thought, every single possible, everything. Like if you ever take on a task, I can only speak for myself, but I know quite a lot of people. Usually, the first thought about a task at hand is negative. It's negative, and it's the negative thought what then triggers something for you to look at it from a different perception and a different angle. And that's been the same experience for me. Every single crisis I've been in, where, for example, the last time I used drugs, Rosie's mum just brought me a coffee.
Oh, what a gem!
Oh, she's a belter. So yeah, the last time I used drugs and alcohol, it was one of the lowest feelings, the most negative I've ever felt in my life. I just thought the last time I used drugs, I just broke a 4-month abstinence. So I'd not touched anything for 4 months. And then I crumbled and I got we knew you wouldn't do it, Nick. And then all this nonsense from whatever. And I just remember thinking, I remember just sat there thinking, instead of thinking, how has this happened again? How can I turn this into, I will never let this happen again. And that comes from the most negative point of arguably one of the most negative points in my life. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes negativity, there is a place for negativity.
Yeah.
Negativity can get shit done.
Can't get away from
like,
just
no, exactly.
You'd like that. If you come across it, that is a part of life. And
yeah, 100%. And you like sometimes like when I touched on the lockdown 1 and we kind of falling apart mentally, and then obviously we've had lockdown 2 and now we're in lockdown 3. I remember just looking back to how I felt in lockdown 1 and just thinking, right, get a handle on your shit, because ultimately I'm responsible for me.
Yeah.
I'm responsible for me, how I react to things, what I can and can't control. None of that matters. You know what I mean? I'm responsible to me. So sometimes you've got to take personal responsibility. You've got to get a handle of your shit.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that, for me, that gets right down to the nitty gritty. If I'm feeling negative for a period of time, I've got to look inward at me, because there's something I'm doing or not doing what needs to change, whether it's my sleeping pattern, my eating habits. Do you know what I mean? Am I attending?
Consciously know. I think we subconsciously know. Sometimes.
Yeah, of course we do. Bro, we can lie to whoever we want. We can't lie to ourselves.
Exactly, mate. Exactly.
It's bullshit. That stuff puts you in emotional turmoil when you start lying to yourself.
Yeah.
That's why, the biggest changes come when you have enough of the bullshit you keep telling yourself. Yeah. I remember when I got clean, I remember at Total Fitness, and I was speaking to one of the PTs there, and he was kind of like using have you read The Secret? Yeah. Is it Rhonda something?
I can't remember who wrote it. Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of The Secret, if I'm honest with you.
It's to me personally, it's trying to kind of like make you think, like, even if you think negativity,
yeah,
and it's not my cup of tea, mate.
Yeah, it's not my cup of tea either. And I remember this like personal trainer, he was very like mindset focused, and he was kind of saying, yeah, but if you tell yourself you're a drug addict, you'll believe you're a drug addict. And I turned around and I'll never forget and said, listen, mate, I said, I've had fucking years of trying to lie to myself, saying I've not got a problem. I'm all right with it, mate. I'm all right now saying, do you know what? My name's Nick and I'm a fucking drug addict, mate. I'm done with that battle. I'm done with it. Do you know what I mean? I'm done with the battle, but do you know what I mean? I'm done trying to lie to myself. I'm done trying to lie to myself.
It's not as simple as that. It's like, oh, if you tell yourself this, it's, life doesn't have a handbook. Do you know what I mean?
If that was the case, then everyone would be a millionaire. Everyone's mental health would be absolutely prosperous. And then if you went to the doctors, he wouldn't be prescribing your medication, what you may need. He'd be like, listen, just read this secret and you'll be flying. It doesn't work like that, does it, mate?
Just tell yourself you're fitter than you are and you'll be able to run Everest, mate. You'll be able to run Everest. It's fine.
Yeah, like, you know, yeah, it's like there's a lot in that book what you can take. For me, it's just the action of things. You know what I mean? To get the action is required. You know what I mean? In all walks of life. You want to lose weight, you've got to put the action in. You want to work for mental health, you've got to put the action in.
There's so many other there's so many techniques, there's so many ways of doing certain things, and like you might like a certain thing that someone does, you'll take that away, you'll discard what you don't like. You'll make your own path. You'll take what they like, you'll take what they've taught you. You might discard a few of those things. You make your own path.
Exactly. You create your values.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
Values. And that's when I think that's one of the massive issues what we have today in society is we are now exposed to Instagram, what everyone else is doing, and we start living by other people's values. And when they don't match ours internally, that's when we get what's going on. Like I thought having a house made me feel great, and then all of a sudden it doesn't. It's like I heard it on a podcast. It's like climbing a ladder, getting to the top of the building and thinking, shit, wrong building.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like just people to I'm 28 years old. No, I'm not 27, 28 this year. I don't drive. I haven't got a driving license. I can drive, but I haven't got a driving license. Rosie keeps pestering me to do it. So it does need to get done because she's nagging a lot now. She's nagging a lot, bless her. But people are like, how can you not drive? Why would you not drive? Mate, one of the happiest times of my day is when I get up in the morning, put a podcast on an audiobook and go for a walk. Or if I'm working in the community and I'm going to an appointment, I won't get public transport. I'll walk. I value that. I enjoy that. Do you know what I mean? And people don't understand that, and you don't have to because that's not your value. It's mine.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like for me, we talked about it the other night. I don't have any value in getting as as I possibly can for someone to take a photograph of me. That's just going to make me unhappy. And I see it so many times. People do that, get a photograph, they get a few likes, and then nothing. They're empty inside. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You've got to create you've got to live your values massively. And in society today, I think we are starting to live to other people's values. We're expected to be rich. We're expected to have a mortgage by 25 and a partner and have your shit together and all that. And it's just not reality.
You expect to be happy when you've met some stage, or you expect, like, I was talking about Danny, like he was saying, like, I thought I'd buy a coffee machine and that made me happy, but no, I'm upset and I've got a coffee machine. Like I say, you've got to work on your own values and what you value in life. Work on those, work on yourself. Yeah,
exactly. And that sums it up perfectly. Kind of what I listened to the podcast. Great guy, lovely man. And I really identify with that because there was a time in my recovery. I just got my first job. I was caning the hours, and I haven't got any kids. I still live with my mum. And I was making a substantial amount of money for myself. And I remember just buying Stone Island jumpers after Stone Island jumper, CP, like designer labels. And it made me happy for about 5 minutes. Do you know what I mean? But
get a bit of ketchup on it. It's nothing now.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, does it? Do you know what I mean? He does the same job as what a t-shirt, like a jumper at Primark does. It's just got a fancy badge. Do you know what I mean? And that's what we are surrounded in society in general with a lot of quick fixes to make yourself feel happy. Absolutely. Click for Instagram makes yourself feel good. Do you know what I mean? You can get fast food dropped off any time of day now. Makes you feel good for a short amount of time. But we're losing our values in quick fixes, or we're losing sight of long-term happiness because we can get short-term happiness very quickly. But short-term happiness doesn't last very long. Do you know what I mean?
Awesome. So, you got to do
that was a bit on it.
Right, mate. So just touch on this crazy thing you're doing in March, mate.
Oh, but it's April.
Sorry.
So I kind of I went as I've not shut up about it. On Sunday, I've been doing long distance runs every Sunday, and on Sunday last Sunday just gone, I was running and I got to about 20 mile, and I thought to myself, I complete a marathon.
2 seconds, Nick.
So yeah, I was running the marathon, and I kind of thought, yeah, I can. I think I can complete a marathon here. So I kind of run that, completed it, and I looked at my time and thought that's pretty decent, to be fair.
Pretty decent, mate. That is an incredible time.
Oh, I was so buzzing. Do you know what?
Tell people your time.
I tried taking the moral high ground there, but yeah, it's pretty shit up, that, isn't it?
It's an incredible time. What time did you get? Yeah. Tell people.
3 hours, 8 minutes, if anyone's wondering.
And that's averaging 7-minute miles, then with a couple of 6-minute miles, isn't it? Like
roughly, yeah. So, and then I was just going for a walk, and I've always wanted to raise money for charity. I've always I'm a bit like yourself. I'm a bit of an extremist. I know you've done some incredible physical feats, and I don't want to raise money for charity knowing it's something I can do pretty easily. Like, if running a half marathon to me is something I just do. I just do that. I enjoy doing that.
I genuinely don't mean to sound selfish. Like, for the challenges, they're for me personally, and this sounds going to sound awful, but the raising money is kind of like a side thing. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, I think raising money just adds a little bit more pressure.
And I think it adds a bit more motivation of like, right, well, people now depending on me to do this, so it's got to get done. This has got to get done. And I just thought, well, I know I can do a marathon. I know I could run a certain amount of distance. So I just thought that I was in a lot of pain towards the end of the marathon. So and then I thought, it just come in my head. If I try and run 40 miles for charity, and before I know it, it's kind of.
How many K is that? It's like 80K, isn't it?
Something ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah, something. It's.
Are you doing the Guild Wheel twice? Is that what you do?
Yeah, pretty much. It's going to be pretty much the Guild Wheel twice. And if anyone's watching this in Preston, if you've ever people bike ride the Guild Wheel a lot, it's a heavy run that, you know.
Like, are you doing it clockwise or anti-clockwise?
No idea. Do you know what, mate? I've not even thought about it, to be fair.
The main one is, mate, are you running up that hill near the cemetery or are you running down it?
Yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah. That's a beast, isn't it? That's a beast. Well, on the marathon, I ran up it.
So you went anti-clockwise. So that's anti-clockwise.
All right. Yeah. Well, yeah. So that's kind of where I did, and so I just thought, like, why not do it? I wanted to raise some money for 2 charities. We've picked them now. It's took off quite well. I've raised £700 I've not. The charity, like,
that's crazy. You've got a lot of backing as well, to be fair. Like,
loads of people have been dead supportive.
Yeah.
Drew Naylor from Fit Forward, he said he'd give me some running gear to run in. The Fit Gym, I'm about to pick up something from them.
That is class.
Loads of people have just been really supportive. A young lady called Hannah Finch has donated her voucher for a raffle. I think my partner, who runs a beauty business, I'm plugging loads of businesses here, but they've been really helpful. Det Parky's giving some vouchers in. So yeah, I just thought, and then now it feels like it's going to get done. I'm running on the 10th of April. Whether I run, I'm going to run it. But if I have to crawl over the 40-mile mark, it will get done.
I think I'd love to know where you're at mentally when you're going from lap 1 to starting lap 2.
Yeah,
because I think you'll be in a good place. Like, I think, I've done lap 1. I think you'll be in a 10 times better place finishing the first lap when finishing the first lap the first time and just completing.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going into unknown territory, and I think there's something so inspiring with that, mate. So
I think I put a post on my Instagram and it kind of running simple, man. It's simple. It essentially will be putting one foot in front of another for a period of time until I reach 40 miles.
Yeah. It's not that simple, though, is it?
Yeah, but in essence, it is, isn't it? In essence, it is. That's what will
The physicality of it is, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And when I did the marathon, I did it on, I overcarbed. So I had pizza the night before the marathon and a big bowl of porridge before, and I felt a bit sluggish, and I never had a water break. I didn't have any like kind of quick, simple, fast acting sugars like sweets or anything.
How were your sodium levels and potassium levels? Did you start cramping or anything?
No, I didn't, to be honest. I didn't. So yeah, they weren't too bad. So I thought, well, if I've got, and people now are offering to do sections of it with me to pass me like, maybe sweets or them caffeine, sugar gels and all that lot. So I take great, like there's a lot that I know I can look at that and think, right, well, that's going to help.
Yeah.
That's definitely help. And I think my mentality towards it is it has to get done. So it's going to get done.
I think a massive win of thing of like you just even broadcasting it and making it a thing, because like that was the one thing with me. As soon as when I did the 24 hour on the bike, as soon as I let people know, then I knew shit was going down.
It's on, mate. It's
You're
on.
accountable then, aren't you? You're accountable, and I think
it's on.
And I'd like to know: have you already finished it in your head? Have you already?
Yeah. Oh fucking yeah.
Just remember though to live through the process. Don't just think about the finishing line. Yeah. That is awesome.
I think one of it's both a blessing and a curse. Like I do look forward quite a bit now. I try and
easily done, mate. We live in that type of society. It's easily.
Yeah, we do completely. Like we've become like I finished that marathon, and then I was really proud for about half an hour, and then my mind switched to, can I get on the 3 hours?
Yeah.
What can I do to get on the 3 hours? And it's just like I really struggle to live like, oh fucking hell, I think you've just run a marathon 3 hour 8 minutes. I weren't even planning to do a marathon, by the way. So I struggle with that. So yeah, that's something I do want to do. I want to, cherish what I'm actually doing in the moment with people who are close to me, who are going to run sections of it with me and stuff like
absolutely. That. And I think that's one thing that I didn't do in the 24 hours is I just had the finishing line in my head.
Yeah.
And I expected to feel a certain way, and I didn't feel that certain way, but that was just because of the extremes of it. But
that's what you did.
It's an absolute insane. I think your mind, that mindset of just even thinking of doing it, from doing a marathon to thinking, I'm gonna do 2 of them. I'm gonna do 2.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
I think like that mindset is kind of what recovery has given me. Do you know what I mean? That like my journey of being in recovery, like the be all and end all of
you find motivation in struggle.
Yeah, like
is
my primary purpose in life each day when it gets down to the nitty gritty of it is just to make sure my head hits that pillow and I haven't put a substance in me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And anything's a win. And there has been moments in my recovery where I've been around environments where, that I allude to it, I'll kind of not allude, but refer to it as kind of living with another person inside your head. And this voice will go on, have one, you'll be all right. You'll be all right now. And in lockdown 1, that voice got pretty fucking loud, and then what I tell myself is in them moments, I think, no, I have to stay clean. Do you really want to go back into hospital on drips, being given and withdrawal medication, Librium and stuff like that? Because that's where this takes me when I start thinking one's a good idea. So that mindset, I kind of move it into different areas, and it goes a long way. And I think when something's got to get done, you've just got to find a way to get it done. That's kind of.
You always do. I think it's the thought process of thinking how are you going to do it that's more daunting than actually doing it, because you always find a way. Like if you doing the 2 marathons, like the 40 miler is incredible, but I know for a fact, and many other people who are close or who are around you will already know that you're going to do it.
Yeah.
And mate, it's incredible.
Yeah. I've spoke about him on here a few times, and like in the kind of circle I'm in, like I attend a 12-step fellowship. I go to regular meetings and that, I continue to do that because I continue to do that for my recovery because I don't want to go back where I were. My recovery is always progressive, and I'm around individuals essentially who are on the same mission as me. They're on the same mission. They want to stay clean. They're trying to build a better life for themselves through a result of staying clean. And through having that, I've had a lot of people coming back into my life, and like one person who I've always looked up to, and he's been my best mate since we were 7 years old, is Gary Longshore. His mindset. Do you know, have you seen the Royal Marine advert? 99% need not apply.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, he's that 0.1%. He's just fucking. He's my first. He's one of the very few people whose thought is right. How do we get this done? It's never. Well, we might not be able to do this. It's just right. This needs to get done. How do we get it done? Yeah. And I'm around stuff like that, and it's infectious. Yourself, you're very similar to that, and you know, it's like, right, how are we going to get this done? And that's kind of being around their mindsets is kind of what's helped me. Do you know what I mean? I don't want anyone to think I've done this journey on my own through grit and determination. I've not. I'm really influenced by the people around me and in my circle. You know, one of the barriers for me getting clean was I'm only young. I am only a young lad. I was like 23 when I entered recovery. And my first ever meeting that I went to, I was in drug services before, and I was possibly going to go back to rehab, but they sent me to a meeting. Well, they didn't send me, but they said, try going here. And I met this lad. I met two lads, and they're still my best mates today, still very close to me, like my brothers. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be the only one here who is like in the 20s, probably still got all the teeth, a little bit of an hairline left and all that lot. And I walked in and there were these two lads, and they were young, and they were sat in this meeting. I was like, how old are you? And one was 18. The other one was 21. And when I was like, how long have you been clean for? They went 11 months, coming up a year. So, and then that was visible. I'm one of them, me, Marcus. I need evidence that something is possible. Do you know what I mean? I need evidence that something is possible. And that kind of blew a reservation out the water of that I can't stay clean young, because they were doing it. They were living proof of doing it. And it's the same sort of thing with mindsets. I need to be around mindsets what show me that things are possible. Do you know what I mean? That things can get done, no matter how hard they look or how hard at first you perceive them to be. It can get done.
And there's some strong like words in, like, and I really find solace from these words. It's like, if you show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Mate.
You're a product of your environment, mate, massively.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like, yeah. That's kind of like what. So I just try and take little bits of things I've learned from people on my journey who inspire me, and ultimately it's kind of led me on I suppose a path of finding out who Nick is. Joe, you asked me who I am at the start, and that's kind of where this journey's kind of took me now. And
it's still an ongoing process, really, isn't it? Finding out.
Hey, I don't think and the thing is, I allude to, I refer to life and stuff like that. Like, you played rugby, right, when you were younger?
Yeah.
Do you ever play any football?
Mate, I couldn't even kick a ball straight.
Well, like, if you played football, that on the park or on the school playground, you put your jumpers down, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, I played to that level.
And they would be the goalpost. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And but you can move them goalposts.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You move goalposts and stuff, and that's like life. Life is just like, you know, essentially the goalposts moving. Like for everyone recently, the coronavirus situation has moved the goalposts for a lot of people. And what I had to figure out is I was still trying to kick my ball into the goalpost. What had moved? Like, I can't exercise because I haven't got the gym. You know, I can't do my recovery meetings because they're not face to face and stuff like that. It's like that. They're things I can't control anymore. I can't control any of that. I've got to make do with the situation I've got, and I've got to move with the goalpost essentially, and stop trying to shoot a ball into goalposts what are no longer there. And that's kind of.
I think you say you find a way of making things happen, don't you? Like,
yeah. And you've got.
I think at the like you're saying, at the start of lockdown 1, I went through, like, I panicked. I was like, well, my main income and Emma's main income
gone,
eventually going to be gone. And what was really refreshing in seeing, because it just fires that spark, And like you were just saying before, like I was just trying to I was trying to resonate with what you were saying with like you needed to see it was working for someone.
Yeah, like
Massive thing for me, like Andrew Naylor at Fit Forward,
yeah.
he grew and grew and grew in that first lockdown, and
Mate, what was he? He's like a fucking chameleon adapting, mate.
every credit to him because
Yeah,
he was one of those guys I thought, well, he is showing that it's possible.
yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, I grew in that first lockdown. I thought it was going to be fucking hard, but
Yeah,
mate, he just showed. So Andrew, if you're watching,
fair
awesome.
play, mate. Yeah, absolutely. And I think what like a lot of the people who was on that program, the Leaning COVID-19, what a fucking name, by the way.
Yeah.
That like at the time, like, because I was in the place I were, and the perception I had was like a bit doom and gloom. I was looking, thinking, yeah, but it's all right for you, because I badly injured my back. I started on a running escapade and badly injured my back. I had shooting pains down my leg. I trapped my sore ass, I think that I did, and I could barely walk without pain. And I was like, well, it's all right. They can lose that weight because, they haven't got the injuries I've got. But like, I didn't have to be eating 2 or 3 Dominoes a week. I didn't have to be shoveling shit in I didn't have to do any of that. And eventually I had to, move with the goalpost. This is my situation. What are you going to do about it? What you're going to do to take responsibility for your life. And that's what I think, like, obviously, this is a bit of a deep one. I don't really want to go into the COVID-19 pandemic too much, but I think now with a lot of people are using this, oh, it's a load of shit, oh, it's not real, as just a justification because they don't like the fact that they've got to adapt and change their life because COVID's disrupted it. It's easier to call it bullshit than it is to face what it is. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense. It's easier to go, do you know, I'm going to have to change, I'm going to have to adapt. It's easy. It's not, that's quite difficult, and it takes practice. So as human beings, we look for comfort, we look for certainty, and we look for easy things like we touched on before, making ourselves feel better, whether it's eating fast food, getting a hit of dopamine from going on your screen, taking drugs, drinking alcohol, whatever. We do that in a lot of areas, and a lot of people, it's easier to go, COVID's bullshit, I can't exercise because the gyms are shut, than it is to go, do you know what, actually, I'm going to have to take up a new hobby. I'm going to have to get out of the comfort zone and go.
The one thing that has really kind of played a massive part is the separation thing. And people have got to understand, no matter who you are, doesn't matter how you have been affected by this pandemic. Whether you are one of the people that completely don't think it exists, or if you think you're completely obsessed with it and you don't come out of your house. If you're the person who won't come out of his house or are trying to protect their elders, that is how that has affected you. Whereas for me, it's affected my business. That's how it's affected me. It's affected every single person, but differently. But yet we are so like we're at loggerheads sometimes with people like and I don't think that's the one thing that has upset me about it, is that like I have clients now who before the lockdown they were going out on drinks, like they were having drinks together, they're going on walks together, and because of their views of the certain subject, they don't talk to each other anymore, and it's not nice to see. Just we've all been like I said, we've all been affected by it somehow, regardless of your view on it. It is what it is. You have been affected, so I just don't feel like
exactly. And we like for want a better word, and I want to be careful what I say, because I want people to know that I'm not medically qualified. Mental health like diagnoses and stuff like that. I mean, I can give advice of what's worked for me and my struggles and stuff like that, but sometimes individuals and human beings, we need to be walked the fuck up. That tough love. We need someone to turn around and say, right, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? How are you going to change your circumstances? Do you know what I mean? For me, I'll never. I was in hospital. It was 2016. Things were bad, man. Things were bad, Marcus, mate. Like, they were bad. That I'd lost complete. I've never really had control, as we've discussed, but it was at an all-time worst. I'd piled weight on. I felt shit, and alcohol liaison nurses used to come and see me in hospital. I was referred to Minds Matter. I think I was under the community mental health team at the time.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. And having to get like blood tests done because my liver was becoming like sort of fatty. I was getting stomach turns and stuff like that. The consequences for my health now, as well as my mental health, they were present. And so a woman, a drug worker, she just turned around to me and said, you know, like, you are on the way to killing yourself. You are on the way to killing yourself. And then when I went to the 12-step fellowship, what I attend, and found people on the same mission as me, essentially, I didn't get mollycoddled? I got fucking straight, mate. Like, you are gonna die. You are gonna die. And you have to do something different, because whatever you're doing is not working right now.
Yeah.
You have to do something different. And I think people need to realize that. Do you know what I mean? Like, and take responsibility. Like, we have to take responsibility for our situations and how we feel, and
own it, mate. Own them.
Own it, man. Own it. And it's hard. It's hard. But there's like, have you ever read Mark Manson's? Rosie's mum's just leaving. Mark Manson, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah, mate.
He talks about it in there, doesn't he, about taking responsibility for absolutely everything. What a book, by the way. I'd recommend that.
Yeah, really good book, that, mate. I read that 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, like that over the last 12 months has been kind of paramount in like developing my mindset and getting resilient.
What's good about that book? It's just how straight it is. Like,
just have you had the audio book?
He doesn't know. I read the book itself. I read it on holiday, I think, somewhere. But
yeah,
just how he says it, how we would say it ourselves. That's really refreshing. Buddy, I think we've covered a lot of bases there, bro. Just a quick one. Where can people sponsor your run?
So I've set up a running page. It's called Running. Hang on, let's have a quick look.
Yeah, get the T's and C's, mate.
Yeah, get the. Hang on, bear with me. It is running_with_Nick. There's a GoFundMe link in my bio. The two charities I'm raising money for is Spire, which is an organisation I actually work for as bank staff. They support adults with learning difficulties and autism, some of the most affected people in the pandemic, but you don't really hear about that on the news, to be honest. And also another charity called Papyrus, which is the prevention of young suicide. So charities really what are like. Spire means the world to me, and obviously Papyrus is prevention in young people suicide. So I'd say it's an important charity. So like the page, donate. Even if you can't donate, if you drop us a message about anything you can do, maybe run a bit of the run with me, even make me some brownies so I can eat on the way around. Anything like that, it's all appreciated. Even a follow is appreciated.
It's they say it's not the way we're in times where things can't be given a lot, but just listen to this guy's story. It's an incredible one what he's doing, and like you say, there's some great charities what you're giving for as well. Yeah,
and the beautiful thing about the story is it's not over.
Exactly, mate.
I could do this again next year, and I could be in a completely different place, and the way we look at a certain situation evolves, and it's like, actually, do you know when I said that about that? I don't think that's not where I'm at now. Do you know what I mean?
Expected, mate, because we're always learning, mate.
We're growing all the time, and that's what I love. That's what I love about. That's what I've kind of embracing about life now. I'm finding out who I am, what makes me tick.
Yeah. I say that to my clients all the time. Like if I'm telling you to stop doing something that I told you to do a year ago, sack me because I'm not learning.
It's I'm finding out who I like to be around, the characters I like to be around, what I enjoy, and what I once valued, I don't no longer value. I get, and I've learned to deal with negativity different and all kinds of things, and I used to sometimes want to justify why I was in recovery. You know what I mean? I really wanted to kind of like
insecurity, bro. That's an insecurity.
Yeah. Like I wanted to sometimes feel like my journey was like absolutely, which it was for me personally, absolutely horrific. Because I have had people turn around and say, yeah, but you're like that. You get that in life. Oh yeah, we weren't heroin addicts or anything and stuff like that. So I used to kind of want to justify like the recovery side of thing. And you know what, man? you can't please everyone, can you? Like, there's going to be this podcast. I bet people view this and think, you know what, that's not for me, and that's absolutely fine, because if one person watches it and it changes their perception on something or helps them, that's what it's about. And
100%, mate, 100%.
do you know what I mean? And I'm trying to live my life for me ultimately, and yeah, I don't fancy going back to some of the topics we discussed, mate. I really don't. I do what I do today. The great thing about my recovery is if I just do today what I did yesterday, my head will hit that pillow clean tonight.
Yeah, yeah.
That is like, that for me is like great hope and inspiration and motivation. And what people, and then everything else, like I can't control what people perceive. If people, like, you know, people think I can have a drink or can't have a drink, I know I can't. I don't fancy it. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to take that chance. I don't want to dance with the devil anymore. And yeah, please, if you've watched this and something's resonated and you've got a drug problem, do something about it. Don't let it get to the level of like where you are in hospital receiving fucking a drip because your body's got no nutrients in it, and you're getting given fucking Librium because you're shaking. Like, man, don't let it get like that, because I can tell you from my experience, it's fucking shit, and it's scary, mate. Coughing up blood in your room on your own, telling your mum to ring an ambulance because you think you're dying. Like, that stuff's scary, and that's what ultimately dancing with addiction it gets like. So yeah.
Mate, thank you. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for sharing your story, mate.
More than welcome, mate. You're more than welcome. You're one of them, this, where I think I should have said that. I should have took, but you know what's come out's come out. This has been off the script. It's been wicked to see you as well, mate.
And really. See you too, mate. And can I just say, like, I obviously don't know your missus, but like just seeing like your relationship and what I've seen of your social media, like you can tell the lady is beside you. I'm so proud of you, man. It's just nice to see, mate. So
yeah,
like
I probably haven't mentioned her enough actually in this, but my rock. She's my rock. She's like, she means the world to me. I think it's pretty clear to see like how much she means to me,
and how much you mean to her as well. It's so nice to see. It's so nice to see.
Yeah, it's she's a massive advocate of what I do, what I stand for, where my values are, and I think we're very similar in that aspect, and that's why it works. Like, we're very different people, we have different struggles, but inside we're kind of the same. We're kind of the same. We value the same thing and stuff like that. And she's such a massive like inspiration to me, and just, I know I keep touching on this, but like a support network. But it's funny, like Rosie's never seen me drink. She didn't know me when I used to drink and take drugs, and she says, I can tell you're an addict just in your personality. Do you know what I mean?
You create a party without being on any drink.
Oh, like fucking, I just get obsessed with anything. I remember doing CrossFit down at Unit 4, which is another fucking fantastic gym and great coaches and a great sport as well. Yeah. These guys are watching. I hope you're all safe and well at home and the gym's all right. But yeah, I remember doing like 3 classes of CrossFit a day. CrossFit, right? If you've done CrossFit, you know it's like them workouts beast you, mate. And I just got obsessed, and I just get addicted to fucking anything, mate. It's a nightmare, but yeah, I hope I haven't left too much out.
Mate,
yeah.
No.
Great to see you.
I'd love to have you on again, mate, sometime in the near future, because I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll have to do something after the run.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, please, that'd be.
Yeah. So we'll sort some out after the run and that, and obviously good luck to Emma with
very much, mate. Thank you.
And obviously yourself. It's going to become free, and like we were just saying before, weren't we? Before we started recording, like me and my mate. We seen a couple of young lads that go into the gym when they were open and just started like chucking loads of weight on the bar, and we both went, can you remember, like, even though we're still relatively young,
I still see myself as that 16-year-old, mate.
But we're not 16 anymore. Like I forget you're married with a kid, and like I think, because sometimes I still dress like I'm 16. It's like, no shit, we're going on for 30 now.
Yeah. Emma's a bit older than me. She's like 5 months older than me, so she never lives that down. Even though I look about 10 years older than her, But yeah, honestly, buddy, it's been an absolute honor to have you on, bud. And hopefully, like I say, people can resonate with the words
Thank you so much, mate.
that you've said. And yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
thank you so much. And guys at home,
Nice one, mate.
so much for listening. See
Yeah.
you next time. Bye.
See you later.